Hi, it's Anne. Thanks for stopping by. So, do you have those moments, my friends, when you really want to craft and you just don't have the creative juice to do it? You don't have any ideas. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you just are trying to distract yourself from other overwhelming things, and you just don't have any ideas. Here is something that I hope will really help you. This is what I do when I get in those moments. I pull out my circles. And it occurred to me when I was kind of tired over this past weekend, just recovering from a busy week, a good week, but a busy week, that these little zigzag pockets that I made looked really good with round tags in them. Just that round shape just tended to look really, really good in here. And I had some circles sitting around, and I thought, oh, I think I'm just going to fill them with a little roundness. And they look good. They're different enough that they give you a sense of being creative because they are different, but they are so easy to make. And if I am trying to jumpstart my creativity a little bit, I will pull out my circles and I will just make myself a bunch of round tags. There's so many different ways they can go, but I think when you restrict yourself to that shape and that type of ephemera, rather than I say restrict ourselves. When you focus on that shape and on that ephemera type, if to me it feels like it unleashes my creativity in other ways. So I'm just going to pull out a bunch of circles. Circle tags look great in any kind of a pocket, but particularly a shallow little pocket. And you can make a circle tag out of almost anything. You can just leave them the circle shape, or you can put a little pull on the top. So I have no idea what we're going to come up and do, but I pulled out my little bag of various circles. I have some plain paper over here that we can make backings of. And we're just going to, I might not pull everything out, but we're just going to kind of see what we have in here that might be a nice circle. Oh, well, those are ovals. How'd they get into the circle bag? I don't know. I'm just going to pull several of these things out, and I often will cut if I've got a scrap of paper or, just something that looks like it could be used for something. This is from I think this was a gel print. That otherwise sort of an uninspiring sort of paper. But if you punch a circle out of it, it can be used for something. And I use circles in you've seen many, many circle projects here. But I'm just going to pull out several, and we're just going to start using some for tags. And obviously I won't be using all of these, but we're just going to see where these take us. And I can come back and get other things if I want. I have some labels here. A lot of these are digitals. I have these postage stamps. I've been using those a lot lately. And I have, some of my little small cutouts, those little vellum envelopes. So I have plenty of supplies here. And if I had zero other ideas, zero other creative sparks, I would still be able to make something that would be cute and unusual and super useful, particularly for small pockets. So let's just kind of sort through some of these and make ourselves some little tags. Here's I could put something on the back of that and decorate the front in some way. I think that has some potential. This one is not completely circular, but that might be okay. And maybe I could use this as a back, because that could be written upon. Yeah, I kind of like using that. What about these two could go together? This could be the background of something. Let me figure out a way to kind of back this one. A lot of these are die cut, but I have some that are just punched as well. I'm going to kind of pair these up over here and over here. These are fronts and backs. Again, just circles. If you don't have die cuts, if you don't have punches, Do you have some canned food? Yep, you can draw around the edge of that. Maybe we'll do that in a minute too. That must be punched. That's a little piece of lace on something or other. That's kind of cute. I think I'm going to get my, is this the 1 3/4 inch? No, this must be the 2-inch circle. Flyleaf from a book. That's a nice weight. So we've got some backing on this little piece of lace. Who knows how long these things have been sitting around in that envelope. This one's pretty. Those canoes. Why don't I mount that here? A little bit of that orange showing around the edge. I like that. And we can write on the back. And let's pair together one more set. I like this gal. She tickles my fancy. She came out of a seed catalog. I know that. And she can mount right onto that one. Good. We will tuck this pile away. Well, not completely away, just over here. And let's just kind of begin to put these together. And again, this is, believe me, I have no plan whatsoever for these on how I'm going to decorate. I just knew if I pulled out the circles, I could start making something. So the first thing I'm going to do is these paired paper circles. I'm going to put them together. These little tags, they're just so nice. You know I love a small or a tiny tuck-in. Small things to put into those little pockets. And yeah, you can get kits and things. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I personally don't really care for using the kits because I feel like, you know, we have so many other options just in the paper that's already free to us. This looks a little weird to use for a front, but remember, it's going to be a nice background for something decorative that we're going to put on this. This must be some circles I cut from a offcut of some scrapbook paper. Some of these things have maybe been in that little zippered pouch for a couple of years. I've been junk journaling for more than 5 years now, so there's been time. Stuff has piled up. I look back and I think the things that I'm stockpiling now are a little bit different than the things I did back in the day. I don't remember what I would have adhered that lace on there for, but I'm glad it's there. It looks pretty. This lady, I see her frequently when I pull out that pouch, and she needs to come out and be used. She looks like a very friendly sort, an affable gal, right? I think she belongs in a journal. That was from an illustration, maybe Territorial Seed catalog, I don't know. Something from a magazine. Those scraps of paper, you know, no matter what they're from, and that's why I kind of like having a pouch where I have all kinds of circles in it. Colorful scraps of paper can always be something you can use in a junk journal. You don't have to have an idea for it, but you start pairing these circles together, and boy, those are nice. This is not going to need anything additional in terms of decoration, because I just love those little, are they little kayaks? I'm not big on knowing my watercraft. But I think I'm just going to punch a little hole in this one and tie something in the top, and we will have ourselves a dandy little tag. Again, no planning, no need for any planning. Just going to mark a little something there. And what do I have over here? Here's a little orange. Oh, that's attached to something else. I just need something to tie in there. Here's a little red ribbon, and well, that brown doesn't really suit, does it? I think I'm going to go for something a little brighter. That's not right either. Maybe just a little twine. Maybe we'll do that. Put some red and white together. Again, this is all stuff that is just, I didn't plan anything out. I've been doing pretty good at keeping my my desk tidy lately, but right now it's not. So I'm due for another tidy up session. But I really wanted to get this video out, and I thought to myself, I don't really have any good ideas for a video today. I have a list. I mean, I'm generally never out of ideas. But rather than go to my list, I thought, what do I do when I don't have any other ideas? I get out the circles. I'm sorry, I might have been almost out of shot there. There we go. What a cute little tag. This is with no planning, no thought, no advanced ideas, just a colorful circle cut out of a magazine, backed onto a bright orange little circle, little cardstock piece. No plan, but we can easily write on the back of this. And those little, that's the thing that I think that is great about junk journaling. And I think is kind of unique to junk journaling as opposed to traditional diary keeping or traditional journaling, is that, there we go, I think that's going to stay in there, is that when you tuck these little pieces into pockets, it's just the small thoughts, write down those funny things your grandchild says, write down, oh, we had so much fun yesterday, having lunch with, Janice and Mary Louise. Just those, Mary Louise's laugh is so great. She always makes me smile. With the date, how nice to keep that little bit of a memory. And you have a place for things like that with a junk journal. You have these little tuck-ins. How much can you really journal on the back? A lot. When you think about it, you can really journal a lot. Okay, there's Anne on her soapbox. Let's come down from the soapbox. You already know how great junk journaling is, or you wouldn't be here, right? I'm going to bring this ink around just so I can kind of disguise a little bit of that light color from the core of the scrapbook paper that's showing. Now, one thing I could do here is I could easily put a blank piece of paper there and use that as a journaling spot, and I could mount things here. But I really want to use this dark. I think that dark would be good. What shall we use? How about a piece of book page? I've got a little piece of Tom Sawyer here because I had my Mark Twain anthology out. And this is a good way to kind of decorate across a circle, is to make a kind of a little diagonal piece of text there. And let's ink there and get that there. And that gives us something interesting to focus on there. My hope is that right now, if you are at your craft desk or thinking about getting to your craft desk, who knows, maybe you're at the airport, maybe you're at the gym. Tell me where you are when you watch me. I would love to hear that. But if you're thinking about getting to your craft area, my hope is that that you're thinking about circles. You're thinking about ways that you could use some circular tags And, you know, again, circles can be used, you know, for all kinds of decorative and design purposes. But what we're talking about today really are the tags. And I think when we, again, when we limit our choices, we can get really creative with what we do with them. It's like, it's like if you're, you know, you got to make dinner and you haven't been to the market, and what do you have in the fridge? You know, you have maybe a head of lettuce, you have maybe some kale that's, you know, starting to look a little suspect. You have maybe a can of beans. You have some sausage out of the freezer. Well, guess what? You throw together a can of soup. And I mean, a pot of soup. And there we go. Okay. What a nice background that gives us. What do you think would be nice there? I could put a bird, or you know what? Why don't I pull in my books and literary envelope, since we've got a little bit of Mark Twain there. Let's put a little something literary looking. Oh my golly, I have a Tom Sawyer tag. I didn't even plan that. Oh my golly. Oh, I'm so excited. I am super excited. Now let's see if there's something else we could do there. It makes me want to not even cover up very much of that. Now this, the background words talk about Huck. Do I have anything in these? I'll tell you what, I think I'm going to pull this out. I knew I had a Tom Sawyer stamp in there. I recently got a bunch of stamps off of eBay, and I was excited about that Tom Sawyer stamp. This can go in my book lover's journal that I need to work on more. That'll be coming up. What a nice little discovery. I think I had even pulled out that Tom Sawyer stamp recently and showed it to you. Popped it back in the envelope and promptly forgot about it. I think that needs to be grounded a little bit. So in keeping with our theme of circles, why don't I pull out my 1-inch circle punch and a little scrap of brown mailing envelope, and let's just put that there. That helps a little bit. And then where can I put this title? I might be challenging myself a little bit too much with that. Again, yeah, we're never out. I think, you know, my main message is we're never out of ideas for long. I think I like this up there, so let's get that in place. Hope I wasn't out of frame at the top. I was getting close to it, but there we go. Yeah, I just knew these circles would come to my rescue, and this will give me something nice to put in my box, my project box for my book lover's journal. I should mention that this coming weekend, in the video that will air on the 19th, yeah, I'm gonna put it down here because I'm you know, I'm going to be answering questions. That's the last letter of the week series. Or last video in the letter of the week series, and our letter is going to be A. So Anne is going to answer almost anything. And so through Friday the 17th, you know, whether it's here, whether it's on, you know, the letter of the week video, anyway, wherever you would like to, you know what, this needs red. I don't think that brown is right. Do I have any red sitting around here? Red or... I'm limiting myself to these. There's a little bit of red. Yeah, that might be nice. There's my circle punch. Anyway, if you have any questions for me that you would like me to answer in that video, that letter of the week video that will air on the 19th, please leave by October 19th. Well, this is 2025. You might be watching this into the future. If you are, go ahead and leave a question, and I'm sure I will at some point do another question and answer video, so feel free to do that. Let's do another one. Oh, just a little bit smaller. Yep, see, circles always help. There we go. Anyway, feel free to leave those questions in the comments here or in another letter of the week video. And I'm happy to answer those. I am going to be doing an A-related crafting project. There we go. I kind of like that. I think that's cute. I think that'll be really cute for a very specific purpose. And I feel bad, I kind of covered up Huck Finn's name there. Huck Finn, who eventually, obviously, got his own novel. It's been a few years since I've seen this, but there was a, you know, Ken Burns always does such fabulous documentaries. Have you seen the Mark Twain biography that Ken Burns did? Oh, it's just wonderful. He talks so much about Mark Twain's voice as a writer, and when he wrote Tom Sawyer and when he wrote Huck Finn, he wrote with, you know, such a unique regional voice, and how American literature was, you know, forever changed and forever enhanced because it was, you know, it was very inclusive in that way. You know, a lot of references, very, you know, a little shocking when we look back, but very much of the day, and actually very progressive for their time. So there's another round tag, and I don't think I'm going to put a pull in that. I think I'm just going to tuck this into a pocket in my book lover's journal, and I'm really going to enjoy that. Let's do a few more. Shall we do that? We've got, you know, we can spend another few minutes together. This lady, I think, is just cute all by herself. I think I'm just going to ink her edges. We can do journaling on the back. I don't think she needs anything else. Do I have anything over here that I could use for a tag? I think I might want to put a little bit of lace here. She looks like a gal who could enjoy the fancier things of life from time to time when she's not out in the garden. Use this little scrap of lace that was in the drawer. Handy. Use what's sitting around. Don't overwhelm yourself by getting all the supplies out. You know, get out enough so you have choices. Obviously, I wanted my, you know, my stamps handy and my, you know, some of my cutouts, but they're easy to put away again. They're not making a big mess. Put that down there just to kind of anchor the tag in place while I make the tie around the top. Yeah, I think every YouTuber out there has done a whole Crafty Mojo set of videos from time to time. Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah has a really nice one going right now. What is she calling it? It's like her Missing Mojo Masterclass or something like that. And I've really been enjoying that. I always enjoy Tina's videos anyway. She's just entertaining to watch. You know, just I enjoy her chatter about her life. I mean, chatter in a good way. And she's just always fun. Anyway, she's doing her Missing Mojo series. You know, here's one about kind of jump-starting your creativity, what to do when you have, you know, no other idea what to do. Those are, to me, I find those very helpful. Okay, here is a circle from my stash. That was from a book page that I drizzled a bunch of drippy distress inks on. What might I use there? I've used the stamp here. Let's come back and use something else. Here's my literary piece again, but I don't want to use another stamp. Another postage stamp. That's not right. That's just a little too big. I need something pretty small. I have a few really pretty small birds in here. Birds are always perfect to-go-tos. Oh, I like that fellow. I do. Yes. We will just put him there. He looks like he has flown in just for the occasion. And do I maybe want to put a little piece of cheesecloth or something? No, I think that's going to make him too bulky if I put that there. Why don't I just come in and, this is a perfect reason to use a label. You know, sometimes I feel like I hold myself back from, you know, using lots of labels like this because I think, oh, that's just so basic, you know, I mean, you know, everybody does that. Well, not everybody's done it exactly like this, and, you know, it's, at least you're getting something done, you know. If you were making dinner for, you know, for your family, yourself and your family, and you think, oh, you know, cheese omelet again, that's so basic, anybody can do that. Well, you know, you fed your family, didn't you? So don't worry about it, just enjoy it. If you enjoy making a cheese omelet, it could be super basic, but it's the best cheese omelet that they're going to have that night. Go ahead and do it. Don't worry about, you know, pulling out, you know, if you're tired and you're a little short on ideas, don't worry about creating the most amazingly innovative thing that anybody's ever done. Just don't worry about that. Just create. Just make stuff. You're going to feel good. I think Field Notes is not quite right there. I think we're going to go with that. There we go. So it's handy to have these little, you know, the labels are super, you know, I have a lot that I've made myself, but I enjoy the Tracy Fox labels too. I enjoy Tina's labels. It's very handy to have those. And, you know, don't feel like you need to make everything yourself. You know, I just said I don't use kits because I feel like there's so many other options. But there's elements that can come from kits that are super helpful. But you can, you can use those elements and still be creative and innovative and original with your own products, your own projects. Yes, I'm enjoying that. And there, we're only going to have his head and upper torso. Sorry about this. Rest of the bird. Yeah. That looks cute. That would be really cute in tucked in a pocket, wouldn't it? Super cute. Just a couple of notes on the back. Stick a little bit more glue under there. The thing about art glitter glue is it dries clear, and so if a little bit seeps out, it's not going to ruin your project. Okay, here's that little lace thing. What would be good there? I have some things I cut out of a book recently that sort of have that kind of sweet, these look very sort of mid-80s to me. But it was a book I picked up at the thrift store that had all of these like sweet little tea time illustrations. And they, I guess it looks a little dated, but heck, junk journals are filled with dated materials. So this made me think of how I used to decorate my house back in the 90s with this sort of that's on that little piece of lace. Is that almost a little small? Do I want to mount that on something a little bit bigger? I think I do. I think I'm going to use this. This is something cut out of a scrap of a paper bag. It must have been. It has that paper bag feel. I have no idea how long it's been sitting around. All right, do I need my Fabri-Tac? I think I'm going to do that just because it's going on top of a textile. A little piece of scratch paper. And I'm going to use my finger to smear that all the way to the edge so that paper will adhere to that lace. And that's going to look nice on top of there. The lace isn't really visible against that ivory background. You can if you look at it closely, but it does offer a bit of a textile, a texture. Let's try to get a little bit of distressing color around that edge. And then it's backed onto paper. So we'll get that there. I think I want that kind of on the bias. That looks nice. And now, do I have a plain piece that's that same size? Obviously, cut that out of a mailing envelope. Oh golly, it's just a little bit big, and you can see a little bit of that black, but I think I might be okay with that. I'm not going to get black all the way around, but I can put a little bit of distress ink there, so at least that edge doesn't look completely raw. We use what we have in things like this, don't we? It might be a different shape, that you enjoy, but I feel like round elements particularly if they're round tags. You know, we're all used to the regular, you know, traditional tag shape. But a round tag is just special. There is just something special about it. It's unusual. It looks great in a pocket. It kind of inspires you to think creatively, even if you're feeling like you're a little too tired to be creative. There we go. And that's one, again, that I'm not going to put any kind of a pull on. I'm just going to leave it like that and tuck into a little pocket. I think I'm going to keep all my circular tags together so that I can just, you know, reach in there when I want something just a little bit unusual. So there we go, friends. You know, pull out those circles, create some circles of your own. And you don't have to have any kind of plan. You don't have to have any kind of great creative vision. Just pull them out and look what's going to pop out. Have some of your other little embellishments handy, and be willing to think about how you can tuck them into a journal and write a wonderful little thought on the back. We will see you soon. Be sure and leave your questions for me, and I'll be answering them this weekend. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.